Whether it's a 1 minute presentation or a 45-minute presentation, I want you to think in terms of three sections. An introduction, which is where you want to try and grab their attention. You want to let them know why should they give you their attention. And you also want to let them know what's coming. People don't like surprises. Then you can build on some main points. And there needs to be a good logical progression to these, presented in a simple way. And then you finish off with a punchy conclusion, something that encourages them to take the action that you've been building up to. What is it that you want them to do? Remember, that purpose should always be in there. Do you want them to commit to learn something, to take some action, to take some decision? Whatever it is, that's your punchline. And then, depending on how you arrange things, you may want to leave some time for some follow-up questions. So let's look at these three things. Introduction. Should be 4 steps to a great introduction. Starts off with your hook, which is, there's something that catches them. Maybe it could be a story, it could be a metaphor, it could be a statistic, it could be something funny, it could be just something a little bit intriguing. Secondly is the bridge, which links your hook to your presentation. You're not just telling a funny story for the fun, just to catch their attention. There has to be some connection, and that's what the bridge is all about. You may then want to give some sort of self-introduction, preview a little bit what's coming. And then you've got to give some specific benefit to the audience. Why should they listen? How is this presentation going to help them in their life or in their work? Let me show you the introduction to this video series. Hi there. Have you ever sat in a presentation and thought, why on earth am I here? Why am I wasting my time on this? But of course you sat in other presentations where you thought, this is fantastic, can't get enough of this. My name is James, and for the next little while I'm going to lead you through what I think makes the difference between these two. And I'm confident that if you follow a few simple principles, the quality of your presentations will go up. And they will perform better. That's right, they will perform better. The purpose of why you're doing that presentation, you're hoping to achieve something, I think you will more effectively achieve it. That's not necessarily a great introduction, but try watching a few great presentations and really analyze the first 60 seconds of what they do. At the end of this video, I'll make a link to a couple of other really good presentations or really good speakers. Watch what they do, see how they do it, pick it apart and try and copy some of their ideas. By the way, it's also a very good idea to memorize your introduction so that you can make it without having to lose eye contact with the audience. First impressions really count. The second part is the main point, the main body of what it is that you're wanting to say. You need to stay very clearly focused on your purpose. What is the objective? How do you want this audience to be different? Or how do you want, what action do you want them to take? And think, how do I get them to that place? Probably requires some logical progression, maybe through time. First this happened, then this happened, now this is currently happening, and therefore we want you to do such and such. Maybe there might be a time progression. Maybe it's in terms of, here's the problem, here's some options we've looked at, therefore this is the solution that we suggest. Whatever it is, there needs to be some logical progression that makes sense to them as the audience. If you're trying to convince them, give the key message, and then the whys and the hows and the proof, well, that will fall into place. I'll give you this little example. See, well, there's this thing called C, and C is the result of two other things. But of course, there's also B. Now, B is one of the components that results in C, and therefore C minus B is obviously the result of the remaining product. Of course, A is the other product. So we know that C minus A should also therefore result in B. And now we have a very clear picture of how B, C and A all relate to one another. You could say it like that, or you could just say A plus B equals C. You know, sometimes if we just have to find what is the right logical progression in order to present our argument, and suddenly it makes a whole lot more sense. Maybe you've heard the phrase KISS, keep it simple, stupid. And thirdly is our conclusion. The conclusion is where you're going to ask them to take the action, to make the decision, to come to that conclusion for themselves, to commit, whatever it is, whatever was the purpose that you're looking for. This is going to come as the punchline for your conclusion. So prepare them for that action. And all the time, of course, you need to be very much aware, what is it that you want from them? What is the action that you're after? You know, you're trying to build their attention, their interest, their desire so that they will act. You need to stay very focused on what that is all about. And your conclusion, it needs to build up to a point where you reinforce these main points. So maybe you've built up about A. You've seen how that added with B, it results in C. Great. In your conclusion, you then very simply say, and remember people, A plus B equals C. You know, you restate the main points, and especially the why is this important? And then mark the full stop. Make it clear for them, this is the end of the presentation. Now it's over to you. Of course, maybe you want to have some time for questions, hopefully that you've prepared for, but we'll come back to that later. But you need to make sure that your presentation finishes with a very definite end. And of course, one presentation is not going to suit every single audience. For people who think very linearly, they're going to really appreciate A plus B equals C. That they will understand that kind of approach. But for other people, they want to hear the same argument, but maybe they want to hear it in a few different ways so they can compare and contrast. And some other people might find that repetitive. You have to know your audience and know what is the logic that they prefer. Some cultures, they want to hear you make a suggestion of a solution that they can then consider. Others, they want to hear a bunch of different options that they can choose from. It depends if you're presenting, who you're presenting to, and what is it that they want to hear and how you can best communicate with them. You've got to know your audience and know how to present to them. Could I suggest that you might want to watch the first few minutes of a guy called Mohammed Kotari, who made a presentation called The Power of Words. And with this presentation, he won the 2015 World Championship of Public Speaking. So I'd love you to watch this video. See how, even in the first few seconds, he captivates his audience. The first 10 seconds of his presentation is genius. Watch how he pauses. See how he engages his audience. He draws them in. And watch how he tackles some deadly serious topics, but he keeps lightening the mood with a little joke here and there. It is a truly brilliant introduction.